Robert F. Kennedy. You saw about this one with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right?
For sure.
Caused
Worm ate my brain.
Wow, I'm reading
And
that.
then it became a chimera.
It was an Ashkenazi worm, Luigi. It got into my brain and it ate a portion of it. Then it died. Wow.
The worms, George.
Yes, the chimeras, they're evolving. They was in my brain. They ate a portion of it. It's the part that makes my penis rise. They ate it.
Kennedy Jr.
Please
Worm
support
survivor.
me. Worm survivor. I've survived the war of worms. In my brain, every night I can hear them wiggling in there, Luigi.
Robert, a worm ate my brain, Kennedy. Robert, a worm ate my brain and then died from the toxicity, Kennedy.
Kennedy, because it was such a magnificent brain, it just couldn't take it, so it rolled over and died.
It was basically poison. And
now
we have a guy with half a brain running for president to save us from vaccines. Am I reading the situation right?
The worm was vaccinated, Luigi. That was the problem. It was Moderna. I saw the studies, and it fucked my brain up, Luigi. Now I can't. Look, please. I can only get an erection when I look at chimpanzees fucking. Sorry, Luigi. Vote for me. I'm the great Kennedy scion.
Let's explain what we're making fun of here. So the third party candidate and the third runner-up for president, I've seen him get 10% in opinion polls, actually. Robert Kennedy Jr.
JFK's nephew. And it's playing out very weirdly with Kennedy. Hi everyone, by the way. Didn't do an intro again. Welcome, great show.
We don't believe in intros. Are very 2010. We don't do intros.
And it's going to be a phenomenal show. We've got, once again, another week, another boatload of bad news. But let's start with the funny ones. We've got Robert F. Kennedy. He's a very weird one. Yeah, you're right, because, his main issue, apart from the funny shit we're saying, that he came out with a statement that, but a worm got into his brain and ate a portion of it. And what was it?
It wasn't.
It was in a deposition.
Because of during his divorce, he basically claimed that he was almost handicapped, and the
worm ate his brain.
He was trying to avoid paying his wife, and what he said, maybe it's true, but he admitted it at least, is that a worm ate a part of his brain and then died in his brain. That is
short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss. All forms of memory loss, vote for me. I don't remember anything.
This is not even satire at this point. We are not making this shit up. The news is the jokes are writing themselves.
True. The bizarre becomes the normal.
This guy is the third runner-up for president, and he has half a brain. Trump has a quarter of a brain, and Biden can't remember what he ate for lunch. So what the fuck are we doing here, George?
Yeah, and I can't give a real analysis of how this is going to play out, because you've got two elements to Robert F.K. And it's made both camps apprehensive about him, Biden's and Trump's, because yes, he's a Kennedy, so that's automatically a Democrat by name. But on the other hand, all he focuses on are fucking vaccines and fucking being an anti-vax guy. So that's definitely a pet issue of the right wing, not the Democrats.
If the guy was anti-pharmaceuticals and was talking about the fact that pharmaceutical companies 100%. Are ripping off the American people and are making
different.
Price gouging.
That's Bernie. That's Bernie, Luigi.
Yeah, that's Bernie. This guy is sort of touching on the issue, but he's not going all the way. He's just focusing on the niche issue of just vaccines. Talk about a real issue that affect most people.
He's just a vaccine conspiracy theorist. That's his shtick, because he got too vaccinated. And a worm ate a portion of his brain, obviously. And I don't know how it's going to play out, because first of all, we don't know how many states he's going to be running in. We need to see the states that he gets his name on the ballot in. And then it's going to be difficult to. I still am betting that he takes more Trump voters, but on the other hand,
Yeah.
Trump voters stick with Trump. So it's weird. It's weird how this douchebag plays out in the whole thing, and I have to wait for more before prognosticating what he's gonna, because we don't even know in which states he's gonna be running yet, right? We don't have that information.
Yeah, it's not final, but I am gonna agree with you. Most opinion polls suggest he is taking more votes away from Trump than he's from Biden, which is weird because I mean his family legacy is
Yeah.
Democratic. But
But
the fact
but
that he,
he's the stupidest of the
yeah,
Kennedys
he's
because
the
yeah.
conspiracy candidate. The vaccines are bad for you.
To be fair, after they murdered so many of them, after all those killings, expected, right? You get a conspiracy Kennedy. They killed too many. They killed my uncle. They killed my daddy.
All
Whatever.
right,
Should we
so
move on?
yeah,
Move on. We
let's
have
keep
we have
moving.
so much.
France.
France, it's a double. We have a double feature on the funny stuff because France has reclaimed the world record, Luigi, after baking the
Le
longest
baguette.
La Baguette, measuring 140.53 meters. An
Wow.
incredible performance. I'm not even going to translate it to the Americans. It's a
It's
long
like a
baguette
thousand feet.
for the past 5 years. Yeah, they got the bragging rights, Luigi.
Sorry,
Apparently, the Italians
mhm.
had it before. Sorry, yeah.
140 meters of a baguette, like baking a baguette that long, screams that you have size issues. Like you have some insecurities about the size of your baguettes. That's how
Definitely.
I'm
I
reading
mean,
this.
I think the insecurity stems that the baguette, that the longest one, the record was taken in 2015 by a 122-meter baguette by Italians, Luigi. In Italy, one local told newspaper Le Parisien this week as he emerged from a bakery, baguette firmly tucked under his arm. Oh mon Dieu, ooh la la, that's crazy. If there's one record that should belong to us in France, it's this one. And we
Have
agree.
retaken the record, George.
We are so happy for them.
We are
Vive la
back, baby.
France.
Banning
Back.
shrinkflation, doing the biggest baguettes.
Let's move on. And we've
Vive
got
la révolution.
we basically had G arriving in France. He's going on a European tour, as you know, Luigi, and he's going here to Serbia afterwards, Hungary. But he went to France first, to Macron, and we're gonna do a menu critique by George and Luigi. He 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 got
So
G. Yeah, go on.
yeah, the French president invited the Chinese president to a mountain retreat to share cheese and lamb and good French wine, George.
We have a running thing with pictures with Emmanuel. He's very good at them. It's another good one, Luigi.
That's amazing.
We don't have a lot of news about what he fed Xi Jinping, but we have a few tidbits of info. Locally grown ham, lamb, cheese, and blueberry pie.
Blueberry pie, he went all out, George.
All
And
out.
as we can see in that picture, white wine, which I
Yes.
imagine, or champagne. I mean, it's difficult to tell just from the color. Probably wine, though.
Definitely. And I mean, we have some other info that she said he would give the ham some publicity and praise the cheese.
Wow.
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 Wow. And by the way, you can glimpse at the ham over there.
Yeah, it's almost alive is what you can see.
And over
The little
here,
bit of
G is telling
uh-huh.
his wife, that was a very tasty ham. Mm. So, Luigi,
Our communist comrades will appreciate it.
what do we give the menu out of 5? I give it a solid 4. Solid
I've
4.
got yeah, solid, maybe 4.5.
You're
I
gonna
mean,
go for decimals. Respect.
how much better can you go than ham, lamb, cheese, and blueberry pie
I'm
and
gonna give
wine?
it a 5. You're right. It's beautifully composed, holistic in its
It's like
approach.
almost minimal, but there's enough for you to get
Yes,
the
and
full French experience.
yes, yeah, the full French experience. I mean, on more serious news, why did she visit? A lot of issues. One of the issues, I'm sure you know, Luigi, they're trying to pressure him not to supply weapons to Russia, just directly, a lot of
Mhm.
weapons, Because
I'm sure that dining and giving him drinks is definitely gonna make a difference. He said
Macron tries
ironically.
the yeah. Evidently, I mean, Macron tries this stuff. He tried it with Putin. I mean, it's good to have a personal relationship, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work. You're correct. There's
It's
zero
not gonna
chance
work.
to actually affect Xi and the Politburo
Exactly.
and
Or
what they've
Putin.
decided to do. Yeah. Well, I mean, they haven't yet. They haven't yet, as far as I know, supplied boatloads of weapons to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
By the way,
sure, there's some workarounds and whatever that they do, but nothing extreme, nothing that's been reported in West. And I'm sure Western media would snatch at the opportunity to report.
Speaking of China, by the way, we covered in previous episodes, like many months ago, that they were going through a rough patch economically.
Yeah.
It seems like we're seeing the early signs of a recovery in China.
Beautiful.
So Xi is feeling a little bit more confident at home as well. His position politically secure, the economy being good enough so that the peasants don't revolt. And you go on a Euro trip.
The rising dragon fears no cheese, Luigi. It's an ancient Chinese proverb. They're also doing, Luigi, I'm sure you know as well, that they're also trying to protect, what was it? It could von der Leyen, Ursula said that because they consider China dumping oversupply of car steel in the European market, that it could lead to the deindustrialization in Europe. And obviously, we're against the deindustrialization in Europe, obviously.
But any deindustrialization, or again, especially in Europe, the Europeans have been taking this issue much more seriously lately, which is good to see. But at the same time, like we could have used this strategy 20 years ago before we deindustrialized most of Europe.
True, but at least they're getting the message at this point. Should we move on, Luigi?
Yeah, please. Let's go.
Let's go. It's just I want to give an update on the university protest, and we have many things that have happened. I just want to say, because we touched upon it, the demands of divestment by the students. I just want to touch upon the results and what has happened. I mean, most universities in the United States now, because we have protests in Europe and elsewhere as well by now. But in the United States, most university administrations had a very heavy hand at dealing with these protesters. Very heavy-handed, wouldn't you agree? In the response, bringing police in, manhandling them.
I mean, there was no need to do all of that.
At all.
Especially since the protests were, for the most part, peaceful.
Almost completely peaceful, yeah.
Almost completely, except for when directly provoked by counter-protesters attacking you or police attacking you.
Yes.
So,
but excessive use of violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go on. Excessive
use of violence, and it's not really against American culture. If you go back to any major protest, there is excessive use of force, the benefits of having a hyper-militarized police force. But in any case, I think there was a lot of political influence as well, like a lot of
you had the Republicans taking on billionaires, 100%. Billionaire donors to these universities that were warning, that were threatening funding.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that not all universities responded that way. We have a few that were actually responded in a better way. Now, what were the results? I mean, students at Rutgers University in New Jersey and the University of Minnesota reached agreements that led to the peaceful dismantling of the encampment protests. And I mean, at Rutgers, what the demands? They wanted divestment, as we said, from any corporations participating in or benefiting from Israel. This is pretty much what most of the protesters want, terminating Rutgers' specific partnership with Tel Aviv University. And they got a lot of demands, but of course they didn't get the most important ones, which was the actual call for divestment, as well as severing ties with Tel Aviv University. And this has played out in many universities. But, the response hasn't been as bad in a few of them, like, Northwestern University, Washington, Rutgers, as we said, University of Minnesota, which have broken agreements. And you've got other universities like California, Berkeley, which have at least allowed the encampments without bringing a shitload of aggressive cops in, which is the very least you could do, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Look, I'm not really surprised that they broke them up forcefully.
And we're not surprised that even the ones that didn't haven't exactly acquiesced to the demands of the I think only one university did. That's the Evergreen College, Luigi, which agreed to set up a task force that will map out its divestment from companies that profit from gross human rights violations and all the occupation of Palestinian territory. So, yeah.
That's not the only one. I remember from memory that Brown University, which is an Ivy League university, also agreed
Brown,
to have a vote
yes,
in November
correct.
about divesting.
Correct. Yeah. So you see, not every administration is completely pathetic, but most of them were. I just want that it's important because these people are really heroes, and we wanna update what's been happening and what are the result, the fruit of their labor. Beyond obviously just raising awareness and taking a fucking moral stand, which is important to do. Some people have dignity still on this beautiful planet. I've read them. It was a very thoughtfully written by the actual college student council. You remember when the police stormed the building, and we had beautiful to see protests everywhere. By the way, Luigi, weren't you surprised that even in Europe they did bring police in to break down encampments? Yeah, go on.
There were protests in Europe. I didn't hear about that.
Yes, I'll lead you through them. I've
Please.
got a few. I mean, this is the University of Copenhagen, Denmark, set up an encampment. This is Helsinki, Finland. Granted, you're right that the protests have been much smaller in universities in Europe and elsewhere. This is Australia. This is Oxford University in the UK, Gaza Solidarity Encampment. Seems the students around the world are taking. Oh, yeah. By the way, yeah, this is San Diego. And then you get to the French protest, Luigi, in Lyon, and you realize these fuckers just do it better.
They've had a lot of experience, to be fair.
Look at the
It's their
panache.
Sunday pastime. Come on.
The style, Luigi.
I
This
mean,
guy
I mean,
is painting, my
you
God.
have your protesting outfit, like imagine like Batman has like his Batman
Yes.
outfit in his closet. If you're
You
a
have a
French person, you
baguette
have
and
yeah.
a baguette and the protest outfit for when shit gets real. So yeah, we had a few. The biggest one was in Amsterdam, Luigi, where the police arrested 169 people. They've arrested about 2,500 in the US by now. So we've had student protests all around the world, Europe as well, smaller ones in Europe, but still 50 in Utrecht in the Netherlands, Paris, 86 people arrested. Thoughts, Luigi? Switzerland?
Switzerland is not so neutral anymore, George.
Neutrality over beaches. Universities in other countries, Ireland, Finland, Denmark, Italy, Spain, UK. Clashes also broke out between police and protesters during a pro-Palestinian rally in central Athens, Luigi. Shit,
Yeah.
I mean, people are waking up, are slowly waking up. Enough is enough, right?
Yeah, but my dude, I don't know if protests in the streets of Europe is going to accomplish anything. Like Europe isn't doing much to support the conflict in Gaza.
No, they're more
The
important
ones,
in the United States,
yeah,
100%.
I mean,
But I mean, I've read
there's
some statements recently, Luigi. It's important to move the needle with the EU as well, because you've got some very recalcitrant forces, Germany, Austria, Hungary, that are far too pro-Israel for this shit to work out the way it should. So I think that there needs to be pushback in Europe as well. And I mean, the Germans are, I think they're the second biggest arms suppliers. I don't shit on the UK so much, just make fun of them because the UK doesn't actually supply a lot of the arms to Israel. It's the United States and secondarily Germany.
yeah, Germany though. Okay, so let's differentiate this. The United States is doing the heavy lifting in the sense that the US
Definitely.
is in the political and diplomatic sense, like vetoing everything at the UN that has to do with Israel, and in the physical sense of just shipping endless arms. So far, at least. We're going to get to that in a bit. Germany has been mostly on the diplomatic front, right? Germany hasn't supplied any weapons to Israel. It's much more in rhetoric supporting Israel than it is in action.
And they have supplied weapons, but less than the United States, definitely. Obviously, the responsibility falls squarely on one man, to be honest, at this point, on motherfucking Jack, Luigi. So can I flash forward?
Let's
because I mean we've reached
foreshadowing.
flash forward thing because we've reached the point where Jack found an iota of his testicles, of his balls, and he has worn this, and then he has stopped the weapon shipment. And how did we get to this moment? I remember last episode I was going to give a timeline. I don't think I ever gave a timeline with the product. So let me give it now, Luigi, in all its glorious form, quickly what has happened in the past week or so. It was basically Hamas called Israel's bluff, because up to this point, I think the main sticking point was between Israel and Hamas on if the cessation of hostilities would be permanent or not. And they called the bluff and they said, whatever, we'll take the slightly ambivalent language and accept the deal. At which point, Israel responded by partly invading Rafah, telling 100,000 people, basically, and in Rafah there's a little more than 1 million people. So they told on the periphery about 100,000 people to move and partly invaded the place and not accept Hamas's deal, which this has resulted in various developments, to the degree that thousands have rallied across Israel calling for Netanyahu to accept the deal, because everybody knows that this is the last chance for the hostages, let's be honest. And these hostages have suffered a lot for a long time now. They've been held hostage for half a year or so, right, Luigi? For more than that. I mean,
yeah, more than that.
If you want them out, you have to take the deal now. And
okay, so hold on. The way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that what Hamas accepted wasn't exactly what Israel put on the table, in the sense that the sticking point, the main difference between the two, is longer term. So Hamas wanted like assurances that this is the end of the war almost permanently, and Israel is only willing to give short-term assurances.
That's exactly, I think, the sticking point, which is why I say the ambivalent language. It was very ambivalently written, Luigi. It was something like, we will work towards a cessation of permanent calmness, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was very similar. There was nothing in it that the secessions, that there would be a permanent ceasefire. There was nothing in that, in the agreement that Hamas agreed to. Because, I mean, I think at that point, Hamas could pretty much, they called the bluff. I think that's what they were doing, to be honest. Realizing that Israel wouldn't go with it for what there is. I mean, and then we get to the US actually pausing one shipment and indicating that
this is real news, actually. This is a change of tactics from the US, a change of position, a real shift in how the US is behaving.
A very, very, a very real shift. And we were discussing, Luigi, I made the mention that would this actually prohibit the Israeli defense forces from bombing or invading Rafah? But as you correctly pointed out yesterday, it was like, no, they have more than enough stockpiles to reduce it to rubble. But the significance is still highly important. It's symbolic. And it basically showcases a shift in Israeli-US relationship. If they're going to start blocking arms exports to Israel, that indicates... The last US president to put an arms shipment on hold was Ronald Reagan, by the way.
We have to highlight, if we're just talking about how much ammunition the Israeli army has, they can level, Gaza with what they have, right?
Yeah.
But Gaza is one theater, right? You have Hezbollah in Lebanon, you have the Iranians, right? You have other conflicts that you probably need those arms or those ammunitions for. So you don't really want to use all of it, especially if the world's last superpower is not sending you any more. And
you don't want to piss off your gun supplier. If you want to do war.
I mean,
what do you say to Jack, Luigi? What do you say to the Ukraine?
What I'm saying to Joe Biden is, why couldn't we do this 4 months ago? Why did the death toll have to go to 35,000? Why did we have to threaten to destroy the whole area? Why couldn't we do this in January or something? It was pretty clear. It was the same situation, right?
Yeah.
The hostages would have been released faster. A lot of innocent people would still be alive. It would have been strategically for everyone, I think, better, except for maybe, an extreme right-wing government that has motives beyond releasing the
Yeah.
hostages.
Yeah. And I mean, we were discussing it just a few minutes ago. The US is basically pressuring Israel because they've literally come out that the text agreed by Hamas had only minor word changes. So, I mean, they're pressuring them to accept it. They haven't accepted it. As you said, possibly because the aims of the Israeli administration led by Netanyahu and fielded by all sorts of far-right troglodytes do not actually want the hostages released. I mean, pretty clearly, I mean, we've got quotes from all of them. These are sick people,
Yeah,
Luigi.
actually,
The
I saw
far-right
one.
members.
I
Yeah.
saw one video for like a member of government, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the name, but she was saying that,
Oh,
the US doesn't want to give us precise munitions. Cool, we're just going to use unprecise munition and just, level 10 buildings instead of one.
oh
And we're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, first of all, like you are saying this shit out loud.
They don't
Like
care. Yeah.
like they absolutely don't care at this point because the US has supported them blindly on a diplomatic level for so long. They think that they can get away with literal murder.
Yeah, and once the far right becomes so established within government, they will start acting like violent troglodytes because that's what they
No,
believe.
no,
No,
George.
I mean
Oh,
the
that's
the
never
kind
happened in
the,
history. I mean,
I mean the kind of guy who swears by violence and is like, we're gonna kill them before they kill us. What do you think he's gonna do once he gets enough power? He start fucking killing, dude. That's what he keeps telling you he wants to do. So I mean.
this is
Well,
so insane, seriously. Like
yeah,
the
it's
whole situation, the fact that it took like 9 months, 8 months at this point, for Biden to say, maybe we're not gonna send you all of the guns. Like,
one weapon shipment, Luigi.
yeah,
One web
one
up to
weapon shipment
now.
blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even blocked. One weapon shipment is delayed, and everybody loses their mind. To quote the Joker, George.
Yeah, and I mean, the news from the Israelis is that they're very disappointed. We've got. How do you feel about all these stupid motherfucking Republicans who are acting basically like the ambassadors of Israel at this point?
I mean,
I,
my
I I would have
concern.
gone. I would have gone all in. I mean, what are these fucks doing? If I was Biden, I'd be like, "What the fuck are these fucks doing? Do they think that they're gonna do the foreign? I do the foreign policy. I'm the president. I mean, what
By
the
the way,
fuck?"
as we briefly discussed yesterday, like this is an impossible situation for Biden politically, right? Because whatever you do, you're going to lose a part of voters. Either you're going to be tough with Israel and you lose the evangelical pro-Israeli votes, or you're going to continue what you're doing, and then a good chunk of the Democratic Party is really going to be
Yeah,
pissed off with you.
the thing is, Luigi, it's definitely trickier for Biden because I mean, you're gonna get some right wingers, pro-Israeli Democrats. You're gonna get them, but it's clear that the direction he should be taking is the direction he has just taken. Because the majority of the Democratic caucus, the majority of the Democratic voters have long supported the ceasefire. And to be fair, I think every American wants to see Biden actually be a leader, dude. Actually do something about this instead
Yeah,
of
man. I
just
mean,
whispering to people on telephones or
dude,
whatever the
how
fuck
many
he's doing.
times have we read like a report like, ooh, Biden is super angry behind
Super
closed doors with
concerned.
Netanyahu?
Ooh.
Like, ooh, he's fuming. And you're like, dude, like,
Dude,
do something about it. Like, block a weapon ship. I mean,
find
better
your
late than never.
testicles, Jack.
Jack, you can't do it, Jack.
Better late
Better
than
late than
never.
never.
Definitely. And you got Seth Moulton, US representative, more skeptical of Israel's plans to invade Rafah after meeting with the Israeli ambassador. I mean, look at these people. These are Democrats. You support your fucking leader. You support Jack. You support Jack
Yeah.
because Jack is right on this. Fuck knows it's taken him 1 billion years to get here. And he
I
needs
mean,
to stick with this. Netanyahu is going to go all out against Jack. As far as
yeah,
I know,
I'm waiting
Luigi.
for the first Republican to call Joe
Oh,
Biden a Nazi for not giving enough weapons.
the first, I think, who rose up, Luigi, was Lindsey Graham.
Of course, of
Of
course.
the great, obscene, absurd
Lindsay, Lindsay,
Lindsay.
I'm not really a demon, Graham.
Never seen a war he doesn't want to
Of course,
participate.
of course.
And and I just wanted to conclude on this topic. What do you think is going to play out? I mean, good to see from Jack. Always good to see. Bit of a spine, bit of a backbone, bit of a gumption. What we said, Luigi, in terms of Netanyahu. I was reading that he was betting that he could cause havoc for the president at home at the height of an election year and that he could inflict more political damage on Biden. So he was assuming that there's no way they're going to curb the weapon supply. This is not a smart bet. I wouldn't bet on that. And I mean, if Jack comes out strongly, if he can still, give him the shit you gave him when he did the State of the Union address. Give him that. Put him in front of the cameras and get him to tell Bibi to suck on it. And I can guarantee you plus 10 favorabilities, Luigi. Plus 10 on the polling immediately next day. He should stand. My point is he should stand strong. He shouldn't fucking take this kneeling down. It's one of the actual weaknesses that actually does stick with Biden because they think he's too old and they think he's too frail, right? So I think him coming out strongly against a genocide being perpetrated with our fucking weapons and our fucking taxpayer money, it's actually going to play out well for him. So we support you, Jack. Yeah. Find your testicles.
Find your testicles, Jax. I still think that this is a lose-lose for Biden. Like there's no winning strategy, right? Whatever you do as the sitting president, if the country is so polarized on this issue, like you lose out. Your party is more in favor of you stopping the weapons.
Definitely.
So, net, as far as winning Democrats.
But you still get hit. You still get hit far more than a Republican. Exactly. 100%. And
the Republicans
Trump
are a very loud minority. Plus, most of the donors, the billionaires that actually give money to these politicians, most of those are for the weapons continuing, or at least the ones that are making their voices public are.
I mean, APAC and the rest, obviously. So to conclude what's going to happen, I genuinely think, Luigi, that even though what Biden, it's not good news, but even though what Biden is doing is right and he should carry on with that direction, I still think that because of the composition of the Israeli cabinet, where you've got a bunch of people that will actually possibly collapse Bibi's government if he actually makes a deal, I think that's how it plays out with those far-right lunatics, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich. I don't think they're gonna abide by this. So I mean, considering the incentives are stuck against this, I don't think even with weapon shipments being halted that Israel is gonna pull back from the abyss. I think they're gonna invade Rafah, regardless of what the US does now. But I still believe. I hope so. Obviously, I would rather your version came true, Luigi, 100%. What you're saying is I mean, this is the first time we've seen any actual pushback by an American president. It's been 6 fucking months, dude. This is the first time. It seems to be
more.
Like
8 months.
They're terrified, I think, the actual Israeli brass.
Because if the US pulls weapons shipments, the next step, like the logical next step, is I pull my support from the United Nations. And once that happens, then all of the other countries can actually vote. You're sort of cornered globally in a diplomatic sense. So
what Biden did is he tried to maneuver around this obstacle by being like, we will still supply Iron Dome defense weapons, but we're not going to supply anything we consider that is going to be used offensively. Because if you cut off all weapons, then obviously every Republican is going to start screaming from the rafters that they're basically allowing Iran to invade Israel or whatever the fuck. By the way, Israel has fucking nukes, so that's not happening in any case. Whatever.
By the way, another weird.
It's a delegate dance. Yeah. It's a delegate dance, but he needs to start. Obviously, we had anticipated that. I wasn't sure, to be fair with you, but it seemed like a red line for the Americans invading Rafah because it's going to be catastrophic. And suddenly they found their backbone. We'll see what happens, Luigi. Should we finish up with something lighter?
Yeah, let's finish with something lighter, as always.
Bernie Sanders to run, this is surprising, for a 4th term in the US Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And condemns a great independent. He
Yeah,
condemned
by the way,
Netanyahu in
mhm,
his speech.
he not only condemned the so Bernie started really slowly on this issue. Like at the beginning of this war, he was like, like okay, Israel was just attacked; they can do whatever they want, basically. I mean, he didn't say that. That was the approach, though. And as the months as the conflict has evolved, he's really taking a much stronger line. Like his latest speeches in Congress are extremely on point, exactly what you would expect from classic Bernie. So finally,
He's
again,
that,
better
yeah,
late than never.
definitely. And being refined into the classic Bernie we know and need. But he's gonna run again, Luigi. How old is he gonna be if he finishes the next
88.
term? Wow,
It's gonna be
wow.
88, full of
Eh,
life and passion, George.
and
And by the way,
vivacity, yeah.
look, seriously, like
On an
Bernie
individual basis, yeah, you should.
Bernie at 82 is not the same Bernie as he was when he was 72, right? For example. But
Definitely.
at 82, he's still much sharper than either Trump or Biden or Robert Kennedy for that matter.
But
I
the
mean, he's
war,
the
they ate his brain. Luigi, what the fuck do you want him to
even,
do?
even though he's 82, he's much more lucid than all of the other candidates, which is ultimately what makes me have a more conservative stance on the whole, let's put age limits on politicians. You're like,
Yes,
yeah, most people can't run at 80, but look at Bernie, like he
yeah.
could easily run the country, which brings me to my greater point. Why the fuck are you running for Senate, Bernie? Run for fucking president. We tried twice. We came this close. Do it again. I don't know, man. It's really weird. Bernie is trying to avoid
It,
Trump getting elected at all costs. He
yeah,
said it 1,000 times.
and it seems he's decided that Biden is good enough. And I mean, we've gone
Yeah,
over economically, domestically, he's better than the past few Democratic presidents, 100%. So I think Bernie's better. He's being realistic. And I don't know, man. Of course he should run. For fuck's sake, Bernie. You could take down Joe. He's half dead, for fuck's sake.
well, yeah. What you said is like most of the actual stuff Biden has passed through Congress. Like you have to imagine, even if
Yeah.
Bernie didn't design that, it was very much in the spirit of Bernie. Like
Yeah,
Bernie
and
picked
does anyone, sorry, Luis, does anyone still remember that Biden pulled out of Afghanistan?
yeah,
That's when
I
they
do.
started shitting on him, the media, but I
Yeah,
consider
yeah.
that one of the best things he
Huge
did.
victory, huge victory. Does I mean all of the public investment stuff as well? Like Biden, we've stressed this 1,000 times. Biden is running a massive deficit. The only reason the U.S. economy is growing is because Biden is running a massive deficit.
Because
Now,
he
long
spent,
term,
he passed all those bills, all those
yeah,
infrastructure, those
infrastructure,
hundreds of
chips,
billions add up.
yeah,
Yeah. Eh,
semiconductors and all of that. But I mean, what I'm getting to is like short term, long term rather, it's a problem for you to be accumulating so much debt, and they're gonna have to figure that out at some point. But
Less so though when you're the reserve currency and a lot of other
exactly,
things.
less
I
so, and
mean,
I mean,
yeah,
short term, if you are using that money towards investments, towards
that's always good.
infrastructure, yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's gonna be beneficial. So not all spending is the same. If Trump comes back in, he's gonna have a similar deficit, but that money is gonna go to tax cuts for Amazon.
But I mean, kudos to Bernie for running again. Should we finish on this, Luigi?
Let's finish on this cheerful note, George.
See you guys. Bye bye. See you next week.
Sayonara.